Lord of Light, Roger Zelazny, 1967. I actually own this sexy little paperback version by Panther Science Fiction. I don't always do this, by the way. I just love these little vintage copies. It's not a first edition or anything, but it's got a bit of dirt around the corners. It's not chewed up at all. It's just nice and ragged, and it's got a couple of stamps on the inside cover. Books at the Terrace, Museum Terrace, Scarborough, North Yorkshire. Barter Books, Alnwick Station, Northumberland. I've never been there, so I didn't steal it. It's just found its way into a second-hand bookshop in West London, and that's where I picked it up from. Thanks. My history with this book is that I read it once, many years ago, as a teenager. I loved it then, and I'm having such a blast rereading these classics for the channel that I was really looking forward to snapping this one off again. I have no idea what I was thinking back when I was 17, but I'm pretty sure I was more confused with this read. Surely it's supposed to be the other way round, but maybe I just thought about it more this time. But it started coming back to me. The first few chapters are a little bit disjointed, as is the whole book really, but once you get into that groove, it's really great stuff. So I think what must have happened is my residual memory from nearly 30 years ago was for the basic story, and my brain must have rearranged and simplified it somewhat, missing out a lot of the finer details. The plot. Well, shit. The plot. Once upon a time, a spaceship called the Star of India left Earth in search of a new home because things were pretty broken here. They find a planet. It has dangerous natives living on it. So to increase their chances of survival, the crew use the technology that they brought with them to genetically enhance themselves to become more formidable. They combine their technology with the ionic power that the planet has. It's not entirely clear what that power actually is. Or maybe it's in there somewhere, but I didn't quite catch it. This is so successful that technology is now so advanced that they are effectively immortal and have magical-like attributes, especially from the perspective of the natives and the other passengers. They rule the planet and set up a hierarchy that mirrors the Hindu caste system, with the crew in control as living gods. That story on its own would make a fantastic science fiction book, starting on Earth, following them through space, finding the new planet, and then setting up the Hindu pantheon, and the final page, they're looking out over their dominion. Game over. But this is all just backstory really. Roger Zelazny wants to tell us the story of the next few thousand years, the power struggle between those gods, humans, gods. So he gives us a rebel, a god who calls himself Sam, who opposes the caste system and tries to break it in favour of Buddhism, modelling himself on the Buddha, the Lord of Light. Without the peek behind the curtain of that backstory, the scientific explanation for the gods, the actual physics involved, this would read more like a fantasy with a heavy dose of mythology thrown in. And if you can ignore the fact that you know that this is just a group of advanced humans, you can let it be a debate on religion and spiritual idealism. It's testament to Zelazny's brilliant writing that we can have all these themes, all these thought experiments weaved together in the same book without it being a big old mess. I've said it before and I'll say it again. When we revisit these classics later in life, when hopefully we know a little bit more about the world and literature, you realise why certain books are so well regarded. Understanding Sam, our protagonist, and what he stands for is the key to cracking this novel open. I don't think I fully got that the first time I read it. He's an accelerationist who rejects the idea of being a god and wants to open up this fantastic technology to the masses, but he also realises that this can only be done over a long span of time. That means changing attitudes, the culture, the fabric of society, and getting people to come round to your way of thinking. And that sounds a lot like a new religion in itself. That is an extremely complex and abstract idea for someone to have, let alone try to convey to the rest of us. Only a formidable and gifted writer could package it up and deliver. And it definitely delivers. It helps that Roger Zelazny knows his way around prose and structure and world building. However, as good as that writing may be, it is a slightly confusing read. I almost finished the last page and then went right back to the beginning to read it back to back. I've done that in the past for hard to penetrate books just to get the very most out of it. I don't see why the chapters had to be slightly out of order or that the characters had different names. I know it's to do with the reincarnation and it absolutely makes sense, but why does it have to be that confusing to the reader, certainly on this read through? I could have done with a little bit more clarity on that. As fantasy and science fiction fans, we are very used to a broken narrative or a less than formulaic way to tell a story. In Lord of Light, I don't see how that improves the experience. But that is the one and only negative thing I have to say about the book.
Hello, Moid of the Future here. Thank you for tuning into one of our archive videos, which was recorded many moons ago. Media Death Cult has evolved a lot over the years, so be sure to check out the more recent projects on the channel. You can support what we do here by grabbing yourself a t-shirt or a mug at the merch store, using Buy Me a Coffee, which is an online tipping service, or you can actually join the cult on Patreon and gain access to our exclusive Discord server, the best read-alongs in the galaxy, and the podcast, Radio Death Cult. Links to all that good stuff in the description of this video. Thank you so much. Peace!
But this is not simply a beautifully written story about transhumanism or our descendants setting up a colony on a faraway land. It's a comment about organised religion and the way that humans govern themselves and abuse those lofty positions. In my opinion, is Zelazny having a pop at Hinduism in general, or the bastardised versions of some faiths, the pay-as-you-go, only on a Sunday religious types? I don't know enough about that particular religion, but it seems as though these crew members are taking those godly powers, keeping it for themselves, not helping the other passengers, not helping the planet. Does that mean that no matter how technologically advanced we become, power will always corrupt? Because we're human, we're not gods. Or is he writing about how Buddhism is the only religion that can save us, or at least be the fairest system? Was Roger Zelazny a Buddhist? Or is he saying that religion is humanity's tool, a method of control that can adapt to the situation? Maybe the crew and the passengers of the Star of India would have perished if they hadn't have adopted an ideology, or if they'd have been Buddhists from the start. Now that they're established, it's time for a change, for Buddhism, for the Lord of Light to run the show. How about this? Christianity and Islam destroyed the old earth. Hinduism is the lifeline and Buddhism is the future, like the 3 stages of humanity and life. I don't know. Judging by the reaction from my subscribers when I announced that I was going to be revisiting this, you all love this book as well. I mean, really love it. It's not uncommon for this book to be called the best science fiction book ever written. I'm not going that far, not quite. I've said many times on this channel that for a science fiction book to achieve genuine greatness, I want a compelling story, an interesting plot, I want to be entertained, I want amazing ideas because that's the genre, and then the cherry on top is a much deeper meaning, a mirror held up to my soul. Not my arsehole. Lord of Light achieves all of that. There is so much going on in this teeny weeny little book, and it does improve with every read. That's not a cliche. It's genuinely so complex that it's more rewarding the more familiar you are with it. I'm really kicking myself for not doing that back-to-back read. I think it would have been a great experience. I'm just too eager to get on to the next book, but then aren't we all? I will be back, Lord of Light, as God is my witness. A score for Lord of Light. Well, fuckety fuck. Let's work backwards. 100% is perfect, and I can only knock 10% off for the unnecessary confusion. So that's 90%. But next time, who knows? I have never read another Roger Zelazny book. What is that all about? If you have any recommendations at all, throw them my way in the comments and I will definitely read them. Did you love Lord of Light? Did you hate Lord of Light? That's okay, you're allowed. Or are you somewhere in the middle? Share your thoughts in the comments, please.